My name is May Hong. I am the speaking voice of Mira from K-pop Demon Hunters. And this is Moana Nui podcast. Signing off. Happy fans. Do it with me. Happy fans. Happy Hon.
Screening and Q&A. The first time we'll be showing this at a convention.
Yes. It's okay. You can clap. It's okay. Thank you guys for coming, for showing support. Again, we are a Black indie animation studio, so all support is very, very greatly appreciated. This beautiful short film was an 18-month-long labor of love. Really a 10-year journey that was an 18-month-long production. And again, we had our world premiere at Tribeca. Shortly after that, we did the Smithsonian Museum. Then we went on a domestic U.S. tour. And this is going to be our last screening of the year. Yeah, it's going to be our last screening of the year. So super, super excited to be able to show it and share it with you guys. This is my amazing, amazing COO, Chris Carthern. We'll answer more questions about how great Chris is when we get to the Q&A. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into the short film.
Xerxes.
Yes. Sorry, you were saying?
You were saying that as a form of stress relief, you played squash?
Squash? Oh, right! Squash. Me and my friend Daisy, we formed this squash team. And every now and then we meet and we just squash it up. Here live on the scene, the police have Well, how about this? The drawn hero, all other Jews. Leaving the world on your back. Walls closing in around you. Hope, fear, darkness waiting. You can feel it, can't you? Despair setting in. Oh, shh, don't try and fight it. Just sit back and sink into the abyss.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. That's the short film. That's the full 15-minute short film, Captain Zero, Into the Abyss Part 2. At this point in time, I guess we'll open it up for a Q&A. So if anyone has questions about the project, the production, anything based on what you just saw, raise your hand, we'll answer yes. There is a part one, yes. It is on YouTube. You can watch that for free. That one is publicly available. I'm going to let you know right now. Part 1 doesn't look as good as part 2 does. So we very intentionally made part 2 to give you a lot of context about, the world, so that, if you wanted to watch part 1 for greater context, it's there, but you get most of what you need to understand about the world in part 2. But if you have a specific question about the world that he lives in and hyperhumans and all of that, I can definitely answer that for you. Ooh, can we tell them that part? I don't know. I don't know. We can tell you specifically, but. So I'll tell you this. Oblivion mentions the fact that one of the things that emboldens Xerxes is the fact that he's a hyperhuman with more than one power. So in his world, there is a small group of people that have superpowers and abilities, and those people are called hyperhumans. Most hyperhumans only have one power and ability, and what makes Xerxes unique is the fact that he has 3. He has super strength, he has heat vision, and he has slight accelerated healing. But as you've seen, his powers and abilities are directly connected to his mental state. So when he is in intense moments of duress, feeling anxiety, feeling depression, all of those kinds of things, then his powers wane in and out. He either loses the ability to control them, or he just loses them altogether. Like the scene in the 3rd act where he goes and he smashes the ground and it hurts him. So that's another example of the way that his psychological state is affected by his powers. But yeah.
Where their powers come from, though, I think we'll save that
for the movie. Yes.
With this particular series and everything, you are diving in with therapy and mental health. How important is that conversation for the BIPOC community through these films?
Oh my God, great question. Extremely important. It's the main reason why we chose to frame the entire project through a therapy session. It's Xerxes in therapy, telling in flashback, recollecting what he's recently gone through and what he's recently experienced. I find that media is so transformative because it not only informs us about what we talk about, but how we talk about it. So in creating a narrative that centers this young black male that is in therapy, for me, I'm like, if I can give people the visual example of what this looks like, media as well as animation has this really great ability to almost kind of like lower the barrier of entry. It's like you might not necessarily have been someone that might have considered therapy before, but if you like superheroes and you like E. David, you might be interested in watching a project like this. And then that in turn might spark the curiosity to be like, dang, it seems like Xerxes is going through a lot. I'm kind of going through some of the things that Xerxes is going through. Maybe this is something I should look into and consider. So that was something that was very, very intentional for us. Yeah.
I saw the dedication at the end that said, to all of those we've lost and all of those we plan to save. So who is that audience, and how do you plan to reach them? I think you touched on it a little bit because you expand on it.
Yeah, no, thank you. That dedication at the end is very, very important for me. I myself have major depressive disorder. I'm also a suicide survivor. So in part, in a way, it's almost kind of like a dedication to myself, but also, again, for all the many people that have ever gone through or ever experienced something like that, and the people that do find themselves, the people that are battling it, the people that are still going through it, and the people that are making it on the other side. So for me, that dedication, is really kind of a call to action to all of those people that still might be in the struggle, and letting them know that there is a way out, there is a path, forward.
And right now, for teenagers, 13 through 15, it's suicide. Black teenagers, it's the second leading cause of death.
Yeah.
And when you get older, 15 to like 18 is like the third leading cause of death. So right now, it's a very important issue.
It's pretty much a silent epidemic that I feel like a lot of people aren't really talking about. Like, we have conversations about mental health, but when we start to talk about, suicide, that's kind of more taboo. But there's a lot of young people, a lot of young black people specifically, that are struggling with these things and are opting to take their lives from it. So again, recognizing the power that media has, I think about all of the great shows that I watched growing up, like Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man the Animated Series, how watching these heroes go through what they went through inspired me to find the hero in myself. I wanted to create a story of this young black teen that was going on that journey, who's trying to find the hero in himself, and inspire that for others.
Can I follow up question? So I've noticed, like during his therapy sessions, he is lying to his.
He is lying to his therapist. He is.
Right. And so is that? I know. Of course, it's intentional because you wrote all that. But I just love the fact that y'all touched on that because he asked who's going to save me as he's lying to his therapist.
Yes. And that in itself is also, again, very intentional. I think, again, when a lot of people go into any of those kinds of settings, even sometimes when we talk to our friends about the things that we're going through, it's like Xerxes isn't only just lying to his therapist, he's also lying to himself. And you're seeing how the repercussions of all of that is affecting his life. You know, in the movie, we get to expand on it more, and there's more revelations that Dr. Niobe, his therapist, she's a very good therapist. She clocks fairly early what he's doing and kind of lets him, tell his story, because eventually there comes a point where there is a turn and there is, that confrontation of what he's dealing with. But again, I wanted to start it off from a place, one, first and foremost, because I think that's kind of humorous, but also because I think for most people, that's kind of where they start out. They don't necessarily feel comfortable divulging all of the truth. But you find as he kind of continues to tell the story, the lie kind of gets harder and harder to weave together. It starts to fall apart. So he almost inadvertently starts telling the truth the longer and longer he has to sit with himself. And in the movie, again, we kind of really expand that and flesh that out and see where that goes.
Also, don't lie to your therapist.
Don't lie to your therapist. Don't be like Xerxes. Be honest. Red.
So I really like the art style. Like I was gonna ask you, what's like the inspiration for the art style, and then also how do you come up with like the choreography for the fight scenes and whatnot?
Thank you. Great question. The art style was influenced by a lot of things. So I grew up on a lot of like 90s, 2000 animation, even like 80s animation. When we were coming up with the character sheets as well as the concept art for this, we looked at a lot of 90s anime. We watched, me and my animation supervisor, Justin Gates, we watched Street Fighter 2, we watched Ninja Scroll, we watched Akira, obviously, and then even the intention to have the entire film almost kind of look like it was shot on a VHS tape, that you're kind of like watching as if like you found this random show from the 90s that you never saw before, and you're watching it kind of for the first time. So we were definitely really, really heavily inspired by a lot of like 80s and 90s anime. I think you can also see like the Dragon Ball Z influences in there. You can see the Batman, the animated series in there. We definitely wanted to go for like that neo-noir feeling and aesthetic, especially how you can see the color palette changes as you get from each individual act and how all of those colors specifically signify the various different mental states that Xerxes is going through. But yeah, those were all of the influences. And then you asked the choreography. So funny enough, one of our lead animators, Shino Hajime, phenomenal animator. In all honesty, when I wrote the script, I just wrote what I wanted. I was like, Butterfly Girl and Oblivion are like punching each other, and then she dodges, and then she does this. And Hajime literally just took my written word and he translated all of that. So everything that you're seeing, that's the work of just a very, very talented animator. We had about 16 to 20 animators that completed this project with us in total by the time we got to the end. And again, I'm really standing on their shoulders. It's a phenomenal group of people that really helped take my vision to the next level.
For those that are missing the screenings, how can they can see the first part on YouTube?
Yes.
How can they be able to see the second part you shared with us today?
This is me. I think we can make the announcement here. I think we can make the announcement here.
Breaking news? Okay.
This is breaking news. You guys are about to hear first. So, the short film Into the Abyss Part 2 will actually be available to stream on AMC Plus. Starting February 1st to March 1st during the Black History Month block. Yeah, so you're going to be able to stream the full 15-minute short film on AMC Plus. All you got to do is type in Captain Zero, February 1st of next year, and you'll be able to watch it. Yeah.
For those that are interested in supporting the project, how can they continue to support through funding or any other efforts to bring this more to life? Amazing question.
Chris, you want to take that one?
Yeah. First, follow us at Captain Zero TAS on all socials. We have cool merch. Go to the website, buy some merch. Everything that is purchased goes right back into the project. If you have rich uncles,
send them our way. We got a little contact where you just hit them up, send us. Again, we're an indie animation studio. This short film cost us $200,000 to make. And we had to go out and we had to raise that money. We got it a bunch of different ways, mostly through crowdfunding, a couple of through investors, but a good chunk of the money that we raised really came from, again, literally people like you that are sitting here in this room that wanted to see themselves represented in this way, that, like me, was absolutely devastated when Static Shock went off air in 2005 and was waiting for another animated series that starred a black teenage superhero that spoke to modern problems and issues, and again, wanted to support the project just off of that basis alone. So cuttingedgeanimation.com, you can find all of our links there, our contact information, our merchandise there, and yeah, support us. We really, really appreciate it. And again, we're currently right now in the early stages of making a feature film. This short film really acts as a proof of concept for a springboard for that. So if you loved everything that you've seen in part 2, the movie takes it to a whole nother level. We expand on everything that you see here. There's so many characters that we didn't even get to add in the short film because, again, we were condensed for time. We only had 15 minutes. That was literally when we found out the length that most short film festivals allowed for animated short films. We found out it was 15 minutes. We literally stretched it to the max to go as long as we could, but there was so much that we had to cut and we couldn't keep. So the movie does a way better job of fleshing out so much of the world, the characters, these dynamics, and answering some more of those questions for you. But yes, cuttingedgeanimation.com is where you can support us, and then Captain Zero TAS on all social media platforms is where you can follow us.
Something very unique I saw was the captions.
Yes.
Certain captions.
Yes.
Collective, I heard that.
Collective Black Confusion.
Was that something that you thought of in the beginning, or did that kind of come through the creative process?
That's a great question. So funny enough, that came while we were editing the short film. So we had to make closed captions for it. And while I was, because I edited the entire short film myself, and I also did the sound design for the short film myself as well. And while I was in the editing bay and I was going through and captioning everything, I was like, again, and as you'll notice, and you'll see this in the version that premieres in AMC Plus, for me it was also important to have burned-in captions. So one, it could be accessible for people with various different kinds of visual kind of processing, but also the captions in themselves provide additional context to what you're seeing and what you're experiencing, so you can kind of get this kind of inner monologue as to what's happening with the characters and what they're experiencing. I think one of my favorite captions is definitely with the cop, where it's like white guilt, white embarrassment. Yeah. So I was just I think this is another funny way to add an additional layer to the story, to the point where it's I always tell people, when you watch the short film, you got to watch it with the captions. The captions and reading the captions is just as important as listening to the dialogue or watching the action. So yeah.
One of the biggest things, as you mentioned earlier, is you brought in, as part of this project, the Godfather voice acting, Mr. Keith David. How was it in the process of getting him part of this project and working with him on this project?
Man, so the story of how we got Keith attached is a very crazy story. To make it a little less long, it actually, funny enough, involves Angelica Ross. Shout out to Angelica Ross. She does the voice of both Dr. Niobe and Oblivion. I made a post on Twitter, and this was maybe 2020, 2019. I just finished watching Pose, and I was like, oh my God, this woman is amazing. I want her to be a part of this project. And for every character that I write and I create, I usually always have a specific actor in mind. And funny enough, when I was first conceptualizing Captain Zero all the way back in 2015, I knew that no other person could do the voice of the Depression Demon other than Keith David. I was like, he has to be the Depression Demon.
Projector lens on Wednesday. Can you guys find in the office and bring it down to her? One second, I'm gonna go back and I'll pick it up. Thank you, sir.
All right, bet. I knew. No, I got you. No worries. Appreciate you. Thank you. So yeah, I initially reached out to Angelica Ross. I saw her performance in Pose, and I was like, this is absolutely amazing. And for me, the way that I write, I always write with a specific actor in mind. And even back in 2015, when I initially conceptualized Captain Zero, I knew I wanted Keith David to do the voice of Depression Demon. Mind you, I'm like a college grad at the time. I have no industry connections, no nothing. My mother and father is in so-and-so. So I had no idea how I was going to do it, but I knew that I wanted to. So in 2019, 2020, I make this tweet because I had specifically written the character of Oblivion for Angelica, and I made this drawing of Oblivion, and I posted it, and I was like, oh my God, I would love if you were, the voice of Oblivion. And I just posted it, throwing it out there in the wind, just being like, oh my gosh, I hope she sees this. To my surprise, an hour later, she commented on the photo, and she was like, this looks really awesome, I would love to be a part of this. And I was like, oh my God. So immediately I DM her, and I'm like, here's all the stuff. Here's the concept art, here's the script, here's the animatic, here's everything we got. She looked through it. I think maybe 4 to 5 hours later, she got back to me. She was like, I just read cover to cover everything you just sent me. This looks absolutely phenomenal. I want to help you get this off the ground. Let's have a meeting with my agent. So I took a meeting with her agent, and I showed her everything that we had. I showed her our proof of concept animatic at the time, and her agent was like, oh my gosh, wow, I really, really love this. Also, by the way, who does the voice of Xerxes? And I was like, oh, this is awkward. I do the voice of Xerxes because we didn't have the money to hire another actress. I was like, it's loosely based off of my life anyway. I'm just going to do the voice. And she was like, wow, I really, really like your performance as a voice actor. Tell me, are you represented by anybody? And I was like, no. And she was like, well, you are now. And I was like, oh, awesome. And then she was like, okay, now that we got that squared away, tell me attachments. Who do you want attached to this project? I think, you got Angelica. I think we should get 2 more attachments before we move on to the pitching phase. And immediately I was like, Keith David. I need Keith David. Keith David has to be a part of this project. And she looks at me and she smiles and she's like, Keith David is actually one of my clients. And I was like, no, I did not know that. She's like, you want me to send this to Keith? And I'm like, yes, please send it to Keith. So she sends him the animatic, she sends him the script, and then 2 weeks later, signed letter of intent agreement from Keith David. And then a month later, I'm in a recording session with Keith David. Let me tell you just how much a consummate professional Keith David is. However cool you think Keith David is, he's a million times cooler. A million times cooler. He enters the session, he's singing this jazz song, his voice is just phenomenal. He comes in, I didn't expect to do any line reading with Keith. The way that I was doing all of my voiceover recordings at the time is I had all of my director's notes, we literally went line by line, I was telling what the inflection was, what the feeling was, what the intention was behind each line, and then I would have the voice actor record 3 different iterations of that delivery, and then we would move on. But Keith, being Keith, was like, okay, I'm reading through the lines, okay, I see that there's a scene partner here with me. There's Xerxes, who's doing the voice of Xerxes? And I was like, oh my God. I'm doing the voice of Xerxes. He's like, oh, perfect. Okay, so we can just read it together then. And I was like, I was not prepared to act alongside Keith David today, but Keith David told me to do something, so now I have to do it. And this man, we had booked that recording session for 2 hours. Keith David recorded all of his lines in 10 minutes. And even 10 minutes, if I'm really being honest with you, is still longer than it took, because in his first take, which probably took 5 minutes, he knocked it all out the first time. We only did a second take because the engineer in the room was like, oh, let's record 1 more for safety. And I was like, we really got it, but if you, by all means. But, oh my gosh, it was absolutely amazing. He spoke so much life to me. He gave me such amazing words of encouragement. My goodness, a super, super amazing transformative experience. But yeah, that's how we got Keith David.
So what's the time period this universe takes place in?
So this is in the not so distant future. So it's modern times, just a little bit further from where we are in the present. Oh,
this dude this is out of bounds, let me know it's fine. We're at AWA Anime, we in Atlanta. I was gonna ask y'all, you guys have any favorite animes? Give a top 5.
A top 5 animes. See, I feel like most people don't really like my top 5 list. Because I come more so from like the standpoint of film. So for me, all the animes I really like, I view as like prestige, like anime. I know off rip, everyone's gonna hate me for this one. I don't care, boo-hoo, cry, it's Dragon Ball Z. I don't care what anyone has to say. Akira Toriyama is one of the greatest, well, not living anymore, rest in peace, but one of the greatest artists, influencers of all time. Like, there's an entire generation of artists that became artists because of him. I included am one of those. If it was not for like literally rushing home after school to watch Dragon Ball Z, like tracing on the TV screen, learning how to draw, like that. Such a huge inspiration. So, in no particular order, I would say Dragon Ball Z, Full Metal Alchemist, Akira, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
I'm gonna go Naruto for me as well.
I'll give you Naruto. Yeah, I'll give you Naruto. Yeah, that's my top 5. Chris, what you got?
I got Captain Zero, Captain Zero, Captain Zero, Captain Zero, Captain Zero.
I agree with that list. I think I think that's a great list. Me myself personally, I like Chris's list better. Yes.
I think first and foremost, I think the sound design is awesome.
Thank you.
I want to know how long did that process take?
The sound design process. So we were actively working on. We were basically, as we were getting new files, clean up animation files along with the rough animation, I was actively doing the sound design alongside the entire time. So I don't even think I could tell you like cumulatively like how long the process took. The entire production was 18 months long. That's how much it took us to finish it. So in all honesty, I was really working on the entire sound design that entire 18 months because there were various different points in time where we went back, where we like re-recorded vocals, not even just like vocals, but even like the sound effects, sound designs, going back, changing, improving things, getting new sound effects kits and stuff like that just to really, really beef up the quality. But yeah, overall, I would probably say, yeah, just the entire length of production. So 18 months in total. Yes.
For those that want to recommend Captain Zero to other film festivals or other screening events, how can they be able to connect those festivals to you to premiere at those festivals?
Oh, amazing. Again, on our website at cuttingedgeanimation.com, we have a contact that goes directly to us. We'll be able to see it. It's info@cuttingedgeanimation.com. That's the email. You email that and everyone on the e-board will be able to see it. Send us. We've gotten plenty of recommendations from lots of people at various different places to showcase to. And again, like we want to show as many people as we can the short film again as the springboard for the feature. So yeah, info@cuttingedgeanimation.com. That'll get you right to us. Yes.
So what inspired the costume design, especially with the headwear,
with the fin?
Yeah.
So something that is really interesting that I've heard a lot of people say is that it reminds them of Ultraman, which I see. Like when the first person that told me that, I went and I looked up Ultraman because I didn't know who Ultraman was before that time. And I looked it up and I was like, oh my God, wow. It actually does look very, very similar with the fin. But funny enough, what actually inspired Captain Zero's fin is there was this comic that came out in like the late 90s, early 2000s, super obscure. I'm pretty sure it's like a one-off, one-issue type deal. But it was a Godzilla versus comic. And it's Godzilla, you could probably look this up, but it's Godzilla versus Hero Zero. That was the name of the character. And it was like this almost Iron Man robot kind of dude that had the ability to grow really, really large. And he had this fin in the center of his design. And I just thought the design looked really, really cool. And I was like, I like that. I also like the combination of like Hero Zero. I think that's like a really cool, interesting juxtaposition, especially for a superhero. And then, you know, when it came on to, you know, creating Captain Zero, I just thought about how it would be such an interesting play on words, how, you know, Captain, military rank, very high official, you know, officer, a name that commands respect, but Zero also being, you know, nothing and nobody. So it's like, I'm kind of like the captain of the nobodies. So I thought that was, really, really interesting. But yeah, that's where the fin came from. But there are so many different elements of Captain Zero's suit that I was that was inspired by. Like I grew up loving watching Batman Beyond. I really love like the very sleek, minimalistic design of Terry McGinnis's Batman. I'm also a huge, huge Spider-Man fan, Spider-Man being one of my favorite superheroes. So if you look closely, like at the scene with Captain Zero's goggles that are really close up, the shape of his lens is a very similar shape to Spider-Man's lens shape. I would say those are probably the main primary influences for the suit design.
You mentioned that the timing is, a little bit further beyond where we are right now. But I also noticed, like, your main character is Xerxes. It's New Troy City. Are there more like Hellenic elements throughout this world?
Yes, 100%. Everything that we do is super, super intentional. So even Xerxes, which is a Persian name, it translates to hero of heroes. That's what the name Xerxes means. So then you juxtapose that with the fact that his name means hero of heroes, and the moniker that he gets stuck with is Captain Zero, like the captain of the nobodies, the leader of the nobodies. So yeah, all of those things are very, very intentional. In the movie, you get to learn a little bit more about New Troy City and, the Troy City that existed before New Troy City and the kind of interpersonal politics behind that. We really delve a lot more about that in the show, into the series. We plan to make a series after the feature. But names are super, super important in this universe. So yeah, everything means something.
Can I ask a question? How was the experience of having your film premiere at Tribeca?
Man, that was a life-changing experience, to be real with you. I'd never experienced anything like that. Again, I mean, to be on to be sharing a stage with all those amazing, talented artists, to be hand-selected by Whoopi Goldberg to be a part of it. Like the fact that we got selected to be a part of Tribeca before the short film was even finished. Like we were like 2/3 done, and the whole third act and half of the second act wasn't even complete. It was just an animatic, and that's what we had submitted because most places allow you to submit works in progress. And Whoopi's team saw it and sent it to her directly, and she saw it, and then came back and was like, "You need to add this to the selection of the project." So having her seeing the value of it before it was even done was insane, and then being able to share that stage with her and all those other super talented artists, it was so surreal. But more than anything, I think the thing that really, really made it great was being able to share that moment with you guys. Like all of us having grinded working on this project for a decade now, to see the culmination of that experience, to have all you guys there with me, to have my mom there with me, my sister, you, D'Italia, Chris is here, Andre, D'Italia, Queen, all of you guys there, that for me was so amazing. It felt like a crowning achievement, like all of the hard work and all the sleepless nights and all of the overdraft bank accounts and all of that stuff was worth it in that moment. So it was so surreal. It was amazing. And honestly, you guys are what made it amazing. Like if I was there by myself, I don't think it would have been as cool. Like yeah, Whoopi Goldberg, but without y'all, it wouldn't have been as amazing as it was. Any more questions?
I'm just check
the time. How long we got?
So we can run it back real quick.
You want to run it back one more time?
I have a question. I just want to say, I love the cop scene.
Yes.
I was mad.
Yes, as you should be.
And that added with the subtitles that y'all use, I'm sitting here in collective black. I love something. And
yes.
It reminded me of the Klan scene in Sinners where they're asking questions.
Yeah.
It was that same kind of feeling.
Yes.
And
spitting on the board. You know what's crazy? So we made this before Sinners. This definitely came out before Sinners came out. So I remember watching Sinners in theaters and being like, great minds.
Right.
Great minds.
Because it's a behavior that is based a lot in truth.
Yes. That very, very, passive, you know. In that scene, like, he never uses the N-word, but the way that he talks about hyperhumans, it's like, well, you might as well have. Right. I wanted to depict something in how a black superhero would be perceived that I've never seen in any modern iteration of media. It's like, right, like you watch like the Justice League and you have like Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, and everyone's talking about how great the Justice League is, and it's like, you're not telling me that nobody has a problem with Jon Stewart, Green Lantern? Like, there's not one person in the audience, in the crowd, that's like gonna say something stupid or obscene, literally just because, you know, like there's a black person on the team. And in every depiction I've seen of superhero media, especially with black superheroes, that seems to be absent. But I know the reason why. I mean, again, most of these films are made by big, giant, major studios, and they don't want to push the envelope in that direction. Like you have Into the Spider-Verse, for example, where you have a black teenager whose father is a cop. And that dynamic is never explored or touched on or talked about. Miles has embarrassment because his father is embarrassing, but you're telling me you're a black teen in New York and your dad's a cop, and there's no weird tension or about your dad being a cop and what that means to be a black teenager? Like, the topic isn't broached at all, not even a little bit, you know? So I wanted to make sure that if I'm, you know, depicting blackness and, you know, what they're experiencing as superheroes, I want to experience the full gamut of it. Also, specifically, as it relates to us earlier, talking about those suicide statistics and numbers amongst black teenagers, most of the primary reasons lots of black teens find themselves in those very, you know, situations of mental duress has to do with racism. A good chunk of what Xerxes begins to feel and inundate that causes his depression to mature the way that it does is, you know, you have that scene where you see all of the online backlash that he's getting, you know, after losing that fight to oblivion. And a good chunk of it is very racially charged. And that is also what compiles and adds on to those feelings of worthlessness, that adds on to those feelings of, you know, self-deprecation. So I wanted to make sure that that was something that was shown, and this would be something that stands out in our depiction of superhero media, because it's like, I want there to be an authenticity in how we showcase blackness in a way that you can't do when a major studio is backing it.
Speaking of, so no disrespect to Marvel, because I'm a big Marvel fan, they tried this with Captain America.
They tried it.
Well, it was very ham-fisted. And there's probably a lot of reasons why this is so much better.
Yeah. You know, when you don't have the mouse in your ear telling you what you can and can't do because of who they feel like it might possibly hurt or offend, and again, not at all taking into consideration the people that are actually on the end of what that harm actually does. So again, for me, it's about showcasing authenticity in a place where you can't get anywhere else. You know, Marvel won't show you this, DC won't show you this, but cutting edge animation can show you this.
With you experiencing your own mental health battle, along with sharing the battle within the series, how have you been able to navigate your mental health while working on this project and with life?
Man, that's a great question. First and foremost, the support system. The support system. When I tell you, this year was both the best year and the worst year of my life. Like, we made such great, amazing milestones with the short film. We got in Tribeca. We showcased at the Smithsonian. We went on like a domestic tour. Like, we did so many great, amazing things, but there were also a lot of hard interpersonal hardships, you know, in between that time as well. And my goodness, literally as recent as just like 2 months ago, I was probably in a very, very terrible interpersonal situation. If I did not have the support system of Chris, of Queen, of Detalion, of Andre, you know, all of the members of the E-Board there to support me, my mother, my sister, my therapist, because I'm in therapy, you know, all of these support systems to help me, I couldn't have gotten through it. So it is really through the help of, again, my amazing colleagues, you know, my therapist, and the support systems that I've also learned and developed over time, all of the tools that I've learned through therapy that have helped me, you know, manage. Because something that I think people often contend with when it comes to like art, like, oh, like, the best art always comes from a sad place. And it's like, that's kind of misleading when people say that. Because it's like, I know what you mean when you say that, because yes, so much of what I'm depicting in Xerxes' live life experience was exactly what it was like when I was 17 years old, freshly diagnosed with major depressive disorder, and I was, a young black teen trying to navigate life and understand myself. But I couldn't actually sit down to focus, to write and flesh out and develop the story and make these connections to do that until I was in a place where I was mentally healthy. Like, only when I was healthy could I actually go back and mine those experiences and find the gold for it. So it's like you actively cannot create from a place of doom and gloom and desperation. You can't. It's literally impossible. When I was in the deepest throes of depression, I wasn't trying to write anything. I wasn't going to draw anything. I wasn't trying to direct anything. It was only after I sought getting those support mechanisms was I actually able to, go back and actually do something with what those experiences were. Yeah.
For teens and especially those of the BIPOC community that don't have that safe space and they're battling their own mental health, what recommendations you have for them to find the support or the tools to help them navigate through that? Because not everybody's family is supportive. A lot of them don't view, especially in the black and households, they don't view therapy as essential or part of life. How can you recommend for those that are trying to figure out and get out of those mental states in a healthier place, what they should do?
That's an amazing question. For me, the first thing was going to someone I felt like I could trust. So before therapy started, it started with really good friends that, were willing to kind of be my great value therapist at the time. And, that's not to say to, dump all of your emotions on your friends, but finding people that were willing, able, that loved me, that cared for me, that supported me, that I knew I could turn to in situations of duress. That was the first place. Like they always tell you, anytime you're experiencing any kind of mental crisis, to reach out to someone you feel that has a listening ear. Because more than anything, most people in those situations just want to be heard. It's a feeling of voicelessness that typically gets a lot of people to get into that mind state and then eventually spiral and then possibly do something that could, hurt themselves. So I would say, again, start with someone that you trust. Start with someone that you can confide in. And then hopefully from there, you'll be able to eventually gain and build the confidence to seek out those other professional tools. And again, seek it out where you can. Like there are so many resources. Like there are online groups, there are what do you call those things? It's almost kind of like Alcohol Anonymous, where like they're literally like free groups that you can go to people that are dealing with these things, and it's not going to cost you anything. It's really just going to cost you a little time, a little research. But again, I implore anyone that is dealing or struggling with these things to first and foremost, again, find someone that cares, and then from there, build out, branch out, and start looking for those professional tools. Books is also another really great way to start. Before I started therapy, I started reading so many books about depression and the way that it affects people. And that also helped me give me the language to understand what it was that I was dealing with, and then eventually being able to, pursue those kinds of things. And it was hard in the beginning. Like both my parents are immigrants, Haitian immigrants. So I remember like when I, was telling my dad I was depressed, my dad was like, depressed? Like, what do you, like, depress those dishes? What are you talking about? And it's terrible. We shouldn't talk to our children this way. But again, he and most people, especially of that generation, and just in our culture in general, there's a stigma and there's a taboo about seeking professional help. Like, oh my God, you're a crazy person. Like only crazy people go to therapy and stuff like that. And nobody wants that. And then even in this weird quasi-protective way, that's what parents think that they're doing. Like, I don't want people to think that you're crazy. I don't want people to think that there's something wrong with you. So they try to shield you from these things, thinking that they're helping you. And it's like, you're not helping. But yeah, start with a place from someone that's trusted and build out from there.
And also, I would mention, like, try to be there for your friends. Like, your family, your friends better than anyone else, right? Yeah. If you see them struggling, say something to them. Like, be there as a supporter and let them know that you're not going to judge them, but you notice something.
Yeah.
I mean, we just lost a young black cosplayer.
Yeah.
And I wonder,
because of online bullying, because of
racism,
you know.
And if we see it, we got to try to say something, try to offer anything we can to support them. And there it goes.
It's bad.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Like, I'm not saying that y'all are doing this, but there's other media out there that seems to be like a glorification of like suicide and stuff. And I don't know how y'all feel about that. It's almost like maybe somebody that's really impressionable might see the show and be like, if I do that as well, maybe they'll make a show about me or something along those lines.
For me, it was really, really important to be mindful of the way that we depict mental health issues, the way that we talk about suicide, the way that we talk about depression. I wanted to make sure that we were giving enough information and context to make people feel seen, but not excessive to the point where it made people feel triggered. And there is, in certain instances, a very fine line to walk with that. But again, I think the lived life experience of having gone through that myself helped informed a lot of those decisions. And then also, again, just taking the time to do the research of how can I be mindful, because the goal is to help. The goal isn't to glorify. Like, one of the main things that I always say whenever I'm talking to people about Captain Zero is that what makes this story so unique is you are watching Xerxes learn to process his trauma, not the glorification of his trauma,
I would add another word. We had the romanticizing.
The romanticization of trauma as well. And that's also another thing. Like, I wanted to also make sure that when you see Xerxes going through the throes of what he's experiencing, it's not romantic. It's not fun. Like, what he's going through is not a good time, And I wanted people to have that takeaway. I wanted people to have the feeling of being like, okay, like there's a level of seriousness here, in a way that, again, isn't the glorification of or the romanticizing of mental illness, but instead, again, talking about it in a true, honest, and vulnerable way.
If you wanted to connect this project to, like, maybe external investors, I know you mentioned the info email. Is that the same email that they should reach?
Yes.
If they want to put 5 on it? Okay.
Yes, 100%. info@cuttingedgeanimation.com. Anything else? Any additional questions?
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free was a freedom then, when they annexed Hawaii and called it cedar lands, without any type of payment and no signing off, called themselves a republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand,
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if you put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course, versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course, cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. Network out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves, can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves, can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves, can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves, can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.